So what's automatic handwriting and how do we use it and what's this good for? So automatic handwriting is actually a divination technique that I learned very early on my path, and I found it to be very helpful. All this is spirit is basically giving you information through your own personal handwriting. Now, this sounds kind of complicated and tricky, but it's actually not. It's quite simple, and it's good for a lot of different things. Now, before I tell you how you do it, let's talk about some kind of basic instances when this might be beneficial for you. I think if you are into the craft in any way, I think this is a invaluable technique that you can have, because a lot of times when we are doing spell work, we get stuck or we overthink things or we don't know the right words. Not everyone's a writer, right? We're just not. And so automatic handwriting is a really great way to kind of get the spell that you want on paper without you having to overthink it, right? Like if you let spirit know what you want, then you can kind of write it out and it will come out in a way that will be good for you and the work that you're trying to do. Another reason why automatic handwriting can be helpful is sometimes we have questions, right? And we don't know how to answer them. We don't understand why things are happening. And we're not always necessarily sometimes in spaces where we can use other forms of divination like tarot cards. Maybe you're at work, different things. And maybe too, this is maybe just something that's easier for you. Maybe writing it out is something that is helpful for you because you actually have a lot of detailed information that you can go back and reread because it's already on the paper, right? And with tarot cards, a lot of times, you can take a picture of it, but sometimes you forget, the meaning of how things were coming through at that time. So the automatic writing, it actually leaves you with a really good record of information if that's something that you're trying to do. Sometimes too, people will use it. I use it sometimes too if I'm kind of channeling magic or different things for people. Sometimes too, I'll do magic candles, and instead of trying to create something for somebody, I'll just connect with spirit and have spirit connect with that person's energy and just have them together work out what the thing is that they need the most, right? Or they need the most help with, or they need the most blessings with, or they, they need the most energy moved around. And I just let spirit channel that information and I will write it all down. And every single time I give somebody something that I've created that way, they go, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I needed. How did you know? Well, I don't have to, because spirit knows what it's doing, and we've learned enough at this point not to ask dumb questions. So so that's another reason why automatic writing might be really helpful for you in your spiritual practice. So the next question becomes, well, how do we do this? Because this sounds really hard, right? Like, how do we channel spirit and make it write messages? This sounds really overwhelming, but it's actually pretty basic. So one of the most important things you can do as part of your spiritual practice is learn how to meditate, because this will not only help keep you centered and grounded, but it will also help you connect to other energies and really learn to kind of hone your psychic abilities a little bit more. So for the purposes of automatic handwriting, what you want to do is you want to sit in a comfortable space, and you want to be in a place where you have a notebook and a pencil or a computer, somewhere where you can write, right? I think too, if you can do it handwriting the old-fashioned, it's probably a little bit better, because sometimes the electronics kind of mess with some things. But do whatever you want, whatever it flows best for you. Only you know that. And so get in that place and meditate and have that paper close by. And what you really want to be doing is you want to get yourself in a very neutral space, right? You want to be super grounded, and you want to kind of be in that like little flowy area, right? Where you're not completely here anymore, but you're not completely lost in the cosmos, right? You want to be in that perfect combination of being like conscious enough to be able to direct and do the automatic handwriting, but kind of like watery enough that you can kind of tap into that spiritual energy that you need to tap into, right? If you have a specific person or guide that you want to, or energy that you want to tap into that will help you with their automatic writing, you can ask for that person to help you at that time. If you want, the only thing I would say is just make sure, if you're going for more of a general sort of information, I would also make sure that whoever you're going to be speaking with, or whoever's giving you the information, is a positive energy, right? Because negative energy will mess with you a little bit. So make sure that before you start, kind of asking for that, make sure you have somebody that's going to help you and has your best interests at heart, right? That's an energy and intention that you put out there before you start the automatic handwriting. If you like, some people also like to call in the corners and set up a protective circle in any way that works for them. So, whatever feels good for you. But the main thing is that you want to be grounded, you want to be protected, you want to be talking to a positive energy, and you want to be in that kind of watery in between clean space so that you can still get the job done, but also be able to tap into those psychic energies and those spiritual energies that are out there to help you. So once that happens, the thing that I like to do is I like to kind of write the question over at the top if there's something specific that I want to know. And then, or if you're doing like a spell or something too, you can just set that intention in your mind. This is the spell I want. These are the things that need to be included. And then just kind of very gently put your hand and the pen and the paper and just kind of hold it there. And this is how it works for me, but it may work a little bit differently for other people because everybody interprets things just a little bit differently. It doesn't mean it's wrong, it just means your way of processing is your way of processing. So for me, what I start hearing is I start hearing one of my guides start speaking to me. And so as soon as I start speaking, my hand, like I hear that, my hand is kind of writing down everything I'm hearing. Now, the important part about this is I'm not reading anything that I'm writing down. I'm listening and I'm writing the words, and I'm not trying to interpret or understand or grab a message out of it. My only concern is the dictation, right? So imagine you are a court reporter and you have one of the little stenographer machines, and someone, everyone's talking really quick. Your only job is to make sure you get every single word down on that paper. That's it, right? Your job's not to decide which side is right or which side is wrong or to really pay attention to the argument. Your job is to get the words on the paper. And so that is your job while you're doing automatic handwriting. You can judge it, you can read it, you can try to interpret it later, but all you need to do is get the words down. Now, what I find sometimes is that, Spirit will be talking very quickly, right? So I'm writing very quickly. The other interesting thing that I notice is that, it might be a long sentence, but what happens is I will write it and they'll stop speaking until I get to the last word, and then they'll give me another chunk of a sentence and another chunk and another chunk. So if you're worried about someone giving you a long rambling sentence, they want to give you the information. They want to help you out. They're not trying to mess you up or, play games, right? So write down as much as you can, as fast as you can, and Spirit will work with you to make sure that you don't miss any information. So that's basically how it works. If you can get yourself energetically into that space and be grounded and have some protection around you, the words will just automatically come out. Sometimes too, you might have to try it a couple different ways to find your flow and find your technique and find something that works really good for you. But that's basically how it works. So when you're done, if you want to just take a moment and just kind of relax or clean any energy off, or just take a moment to kind of recharge yourself. And then when you're done, you can kind of wiggle yourself out of the meditation, however it is that works for you, and take a look at what you wrote. It is so interesting to see the sort of things that pop up on that piece of paper. And sometimes too, it's really weird because it doesn't sound like you, right? Sometimes it will sound similar, but sometimes it doesn't sound like you at all. And so it's really interesting, that you're getting these messages and this help from other energies, right? So that is how you do automatic handwriting. So if you get frustrated at first, keep trying it. It does get a little bit easier and you'll find the right groove for you. So I hope that was really helpful and that you guys learned something new and interesting. And I really encourage you guys to go and try this out today, because it actually is really fun, and it can be a really positive tool to help you in your practice and in your craft. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day.